All right, I call the October Social Equity Advisory Commission meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Eliana.
Here.
Lori.
Here.
Sylvia.
Here.
Joyce.
Here.
Carol. Here. Any changes to the agenda?
Nope, not to the agenda, no.
Okay, great. Any changes to the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve?
Approve minutes from last week. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, and Mac, let's go ahead to staff summary.
I have no updates for everybody as of right now. So.
Yeah. Mac, outside of the memo, or is this where we're?
I've got no updates. In general, it didn't make it into the packet or to update you now with. So. Yeah,
Okay.
we are good to move towards the discussion.
Right, so commissioner vacancies. Mac, when did that posting open up?
Yeah, so we have several postings out right now for the commission. It posted on October 12th and it will run until November 12th. The reason for the postings is that Jordan Burns, Jason Smith, and Joyce Delatour's terms is set to expire in December. So we gave a 2 months post to try to fill that. During that time, Jason and Joyce have informally resigned. They'll kind of pop in a little bit here and there. And then I do believe it's Jordan's intent to submit a letter of interest. He would like to renew a term. And yeah, application runs until the 10th. I'll forward all of that to everybody this morning. So if you would like to share with your contacts. And Joyce, if you have any recommendations, please send them our way.
Yeah, I will. Actually, I do have a few people who had I mentioned it before and they have shown perhaps interested on it. And, hopefully they can fit it in their schedule. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Joyce. Yeah. And Mac, one thing I noticed on different communications, there's different things listed as the criteria. So on the social media post that Brooke put out, it accurately stated that applicants must live in the Upper Blue Basin, but there's something else that went out on the Town of Breck listserv that just said live instead of live and work. So can we make sure all of those are consistent?
Yeah, let me look into that for you. I'll get that corrected.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other thoughts or comments on the commissioner vacancy? And I think Mac, you needed some volunteers for the subgroup to select.
Yeah, we would like to form another subcommittee for the applicants come November. So if you're interested, please, if you want to raise your hand now, or I can do it in an email. Carol, Jordan, Eliana. All right. Jordan, Eliana. All right. June. Okay. And welcome, June.
Thank you.
Okay. Sounds like a good subcommittee, everyone.
And Joyce, thank you for staying on and being willing to be part of the immigration subgroup. We're glad that you'll stay involved in that subgroup.
Good. No, I'm happy to be part of as much as I can still be involved. I love to.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to subcommittee updates. Does someone from Celebrate Diversity want to give an update?
I guess that's me. I'm sorry, I can't see in my phone my other subcommittee members. But I hope I'm not confused, but we met last week and we went over the calendar and came up with a pre-planning for what we're going to celebrate so that we are not put into a scramble towards the actual celebration. And Jay and I have committed to working on our very next celebration, which is January 4th, and that is going to be to celebrate the sight impaired blind
Oh.
with celebrating the International Braille Day. And then we went on and prepared ourselves for the first third of the year. And I am sorry I don't have the other celebrations in front of me, but we're on it.
Yeah, I know we talked about like neurodivergent month, and I think that was
Oh, thank you.
April
Hi, Jay.
morning. Yeah, so we talked about that. I found there are some sight impaired communities here in Colorado that we can their big meetup is actually coming up at the end of this month down in the Springs. And June and I just, I guess June and I had just talked about that a bunch. We thought it was really cool to focus on that community. I guess with myself focusing on like ASL being pretty big on the things that I mentioned, that's a really cool one for myself to learn more about as well. So I'm really excited. And then it was really nice to like start to get the first few months like fleshed out on whether it's a post or a video.
A video.
And then Mac and I were talking the other day about like what like preempts those things. So like if we are going to do an event where it's like a coffee talk, like also doing a video in that month to like continue the engagement, because we've seen that like that kind of call to action being really like well, because then it's not just a video. It's like, hey, cool, here's a video about this thing or this event going on this month. Now turn it into actually getting people to show up, rather than it just being like, oh, I watched it on Facebook. And it's like, all right, cool, you watched it. Now come to learn more about what we want to teach you and show you. And then I don't think that was, sorry, I'm getting my groups mixed up. Okay, yeah, that was
I do the same thing.
because I was thinking community outreach and engagement too. Had some ideas for that. But
Yeah, that's great when, as those are finalized, that you all finalize the first part of the year. Mac, maybe can we get bullets of what those are and what are the engagements? That way other commissioners have awareness, and then if there's more ideas, people can share them with that subgroup.
yeah, and we had talked also too on just like, since everyone wants to do an in-person thing, just making sure we can get those scheduled out appropriately, and then not every subcommittee every month is like, hey, I want to do a coffee talk. Kind of have those planned out a little bit better, and with having the diversity calendar together, we'll at least know like bigger ones that we want to do something in person for, or at least have like an idea of something that would be nice to do something in person for. So then those gaps too will open up for where, not to say the other subcommittees will fit in, but just know where our focus is for the month. So that way, if there is something open or an opportunity to do something more, then we can as well.
And excuse me, we also put these celebrations into our sprint. Is that what we call it, Mac? Yeah.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. So it was.
Now.
Pardon me?
I'm proud of you for having the lingo to Scrum.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone got to come to our own diversity celebration in the Dia de los Muertos festivities, which were fantastic. They were fantastic this last weekend.
Yeah, they were, I went to the artist opening on Friday night, where that
Mhm.
artist came last year painted a lot of workforce and Hispanic community members, and Mountain Dreamers helped put them in touch with them. But that work is displayed in Old Masonic Hall. I don't know till when, but it was really the artwork is impressive, and on opening night the turnout was really great. They had a lot of members that were painted and from the workforce show up, so that's a really
Mhm. Yeah, there were lines waiting at all the classes, the sugar skulls and the masks and the bread making, and of course the dance and the honoring ancestors was they just couldn't have a more beautiful day. And I have some photographs. I don't know if I should send those to Brooke or yeah, I tried taking one of my photographs and doing the computer conversion like was done on some of the artwork that was in the old Masonic Hall. It it's just really cool how things turned out. But it was I saw a good representation of our own local folk there. So it was a good one.
Perfect. So if everyone's okay, we'll move on to community influence in education. Would Lori like to give an update, or Sylvia?
Oh, I feel like we haven't,
Or would you?
we're on hold. At last month,
Okay.
yeah, we're
Cool.
on pause.
Oh, true. Yeah, because you're waiting on the CSU
Mhm.
folder videos. Okay, perfect.
and can I go on a just quick tangent? I should have brought it up earlier during the vacancy, but just seeing how some of our committees don't have a lot of commissioners on them during the vacancy project, like, or vacancy selection. Are there any skill sets you all think that we should try and recruit to serve on the commission?
Just in general or on that?
In general.
I would just let people know it is a time commitment. Like I didn't realize, but with all the subcommittee meetings and things that, they have to be available. So time, just make them aware of the time involved.
All right, that's it. We can discuss as a subgroup too,
Yeah.
but.
I think what Lori said is probably the most important, because it's outside of this meeting, it's at least one or two more meetings in a
per
month
Yeah.
that are at least an hour.
Mhm.
So,
With homework sometimes.
yeah, a little bit of homework included.
You are all doing wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I would say like even more so, like we're not even into our own projects yet on top of it. Cause like with June and I starting to learn more, like about the sight impaired community, like that's just more time, outside of, I guess, your traditional work to look that up and to try and meet with people in emails or and whatnot. But, yeah, I'd say like the time commitment's probably the most, someone who's available for that. I don't really know too many other ones, because I don't really think like time here has an effect on a whole lot of it, just because like your experiences other places are still very important. So Breck specific things, it's a lot, you can learn that. So. Just interested to meet everyone. And then for community outreach and engagement, if everyone's okay to move on. Okay, cool. So that was Carol, myself, June, Taj, Liza, and Christy. And the last time we met, we had talked about just changing our About Us section to make it a little bit cleaner, to explain a little bit better whom we are as a group. While also talking about that it was like a resolution passed by the town, because I thought that was really important to keep still, that the town wanted us here and that we are reflective or responding to some of the thing or all of the things that town does potentially. Just to continue to say that we are not just here for show. And that we do look at everything that town council is doing, and as well as bringing in our own experiences that continue to change throughout the town. So if we see anything that we think can be improved on or changed, we continue to grow and build Brecken to being a better place. So that's been a really fun process to try and figure out because I am not a great copywriter. So this is like our proposed About Us section that we've come up with so far, and it's been through a few iterations. So if anyone else who hasn't had the chance to look at it has any ideas, please let us know. We want a statement that everyone agrees with. Need some time, but if you want to respond to that in an email to Mac, that'd be perfect. And then Emma.
Sorry, I was just asking my questions.
Okay.
In your packet, you all have the proposed About Us statement. So if you do have any edits, if you'd like to, I can send just the About Us in its own document. If you want to make your own edits and then send back to me. There's one way, like if you have a strong preference one way or another, let me know.
And then we'll move on to the immigration rights and advocacy group. If Carol, Sylvia, or Joyce would like to tell us about your meeting.
Let's see, last meeting, we are talking more about, coming up with a system that helps, guide our town through, any important events, or if they need more Hispanic involvement with anything that's happening with the town. We want to have something that we can present that focuses on how to engage Hispanic community members and how to help provide information, maybe like advertising on Facebook or social media might not be the best route to reaching those community members and things like that. We've also talked about translating our free ride information and everything to Spanish, because a lot of our community members use that as a method of their main transportation within the town. So I thought it was really important to have that information all available. So we're making progress with all of it.
And Sylvia, do you want to talk about those translation devices? You and Mac went to the DMV to check out.
Yes. What was their first one called?
That one was I'm blanking on the name, but the DMV uses it. It's a
little portable, it almost looks like a phone that we've been looking into for the town of getting to have like on front desk receptions and things in case anybody that only speaks Spanish comes in or any other language. It has a lot of languages and to be able to help provide information adequately if we don't have a Spanish speaker in the area that they're looking for, any departments. So Mac is helping us investigate a little bit more of what different devices are available, but it looks like the one at the DNV that they're using to help communicate between Hispanic members is really good and efficient. So we're really excited to start looking into things like that for the town.
Pocket Talk.
Pocket Talk.
Supports 82 languages. And then the other is Let's Chat. Thank you, Lori. That one supports 104 languages, and that's used by Comcast, NFL, MLB, NASCAR, McDonald's, Honda. So there's quite a big platform supported on that. And then a third option was for translating meetings for predominantly town hall use, not specifically interaction with the community, unless they're coming to meetings, but
Were you
Yeah.
able to get information on the pricing for Let's Chat, or did
I
you
have-
connect with somebody?
yeah, I have a 15-minute phone call with them on Wednesday.
Okay. I'm just curious what you find out, because maybe for the college, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been really hard to find pricing. so
Yeah, I have a feeling they're not gonna
I
put it
don't
on
have a
their
great
website.
feeling on that one, but
Yeah, they're pretty new, I guess, so.
mhm.
It's usually professional, like sport companies, it's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, they are based off of just using your own headphones. So you don't have to require having an interpreter on site. Um,
Sounds efficient in that regard.
yeah, X Games uses them too. They're boasting a accuracy rating of 95 to 99%. So
I think we were all good.
I'm a bit surprised that the free ride bus isn't like translated because
think
it's,
Part of the information is available, but once you get into like the PDF documents, I think it's
Mm.
harder to have that information
yeah,
translated, but we're looking into that, and I think the whole website is gonna be rebuilt soon.
So we're switching on to a new app. So they're trying to figure out what platform to move to. That's not going to happen until the start of the year. So one of the big issues that the platform that Freeride currently supports is that it doesn't support any other languages. And they've had other issues with the platform outside of its language capabilities. But if you go to Freeride off of our website, Granicus is our platform and it translates, but much to Sylvia's point, PDFs don't translate. So Matt's team is working on getting those maps updated and in Spanish. So we've got that. Yeah. So well, I can email the whole group, or if Immigration Rights and Advocacy would like to send out the email, but once Matt gets back to me with that all translated, then we'll let everybody know. We can start sharing that out.
that's gonna be awesome. And next we have civic engagement, which will be Carol, Lori, and Elena.
Hi. So we have an event tomorrow at 8:30 at the Crown. It's gonna be super fun.
Yup.
Coffee, equity
Mhm.
conversations. Look at our great faces. I think it's gonna be kind of just a general scope of the Civic Engagement Committee and the Social Equity Advisory Commission. Carol's gonna be doing an introduction on kind of the history of this commission, and then followed by some words by me, Lori, and Carol on kind of why we joined, and yeah, and then we're gonna go into one-on-ones. I think we kind of got to a point of like, if people had like, especially our first one, having to like volunteer and say words out loud to a lot of people is really scary. So to kind of have more of a one-on-one gives it a little bit more of a personal conversation. So I think I'm really excited about it. I emailed the BRA for it, and like all of my friends are coming. Hey. Girl, do you have anything?
No, I'm just wondering, who else can make it? There. Yeah.
Really low hand.
Uh-huh.
I want to try to make it.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
see.
it'll catch her. It's
Schedule.
hard with the schedule, but.
Where did we publicize or promote it? The coffee talk.
Yeah, so we had a radio ad go out on Friday. We have one repeating again today. Oh, no, sorry. Radio's been running. We have Summit daily ads. One went out on Friday and one today. I distributed flyers, one at the Crown, Clint's, the library, Rec has one. I emailed it to community partners as well. And then we've got a intro video thanks to Eliana being published today as well. That's
Oh,
just a reinforcing. And that's gonna be on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So
Okay.
good push.
Should we push it again on social? Cause you know,
Today's that video that Eliana
Okay.
recorded with
It's
us on
going out.
Friday, or
yeah,
Wednesday? Thursday. One day last week, we snagged Eliana to do a 20-second promo for it and she did great. So that goes out today on social as another post to it. So if you guys see it and want to share it, go for that. There's also flyers in your packet. So if you do want to send it out to your social medias or hand it out to the people that you know, I invite you to. But yes,
just aside, the civic engagement subcommittee request on Thursday. Can you remind me what that is? At 8:30? You know.
I thought that was a
that's
conversation.
the post
About the
event.
event.
Yeah. And then today I'm going to print and pick up rack cards for the event too. They're ready in an hour, so easy print. I'm gonna make the edits that Carol suggested, so if you did get a chance to see them, there's a QR code to a post-event survey on there, and we can always change those questions. They are in Spanish as well. I realized I sent the Illustrator file to all of you for the Spanish version, so you can't open that unless you have Illustrator. So I'll send out the PDF, but it is the same as our English. But I will make the changes on the back that Carol suggested, which is that shorten it just to be like, please provide suggestions or topics. So there's writing areas for you to put your comments, or you can follow the QR link or QR code to the survey. And there's a question on there that if you have additional feedback that you would like to provide us or additional topics for future conversations. And then one note that Carol had was if we wanted to include the QR to our website on the front, wanted to see what everybody felt like that. There's a comment about when we meet, and I'll add in the equity email too. That was a great call. But do you all want to see a QR link to the website on the front and then QR code on the back to the survey?
Question.
I think for the website, can that be a future thing once it's done and pretty?
I think that's a good point. So for this, we're just printing a handful for this specific event,
I was
right?
gonna print about 35. Wasn't really sure if like people were gonna take them and write them or if they were just gonna scan the QR codes. I can print more. It's not a big difference, but I felt confident on 35.
With a QR code for maybe our application link, like for vacancies, in case people are really interested in the commission and the work that we're doing, if they want to join, do we?
Oh, yeah,
wanna
since
have
this
that
is
as-
just for this event, I think if there's room, be like, also, we're seeking applicants. That's a great idea.
If we keep it like low volume for this one, I think that's the perfect way to do it and try
Mm-hmm.
and seek applicants with the energy built up at the event and kind of their chance to ask questions and learn more about it and at least preliminary put their toes in the water.
One note would be, do we want to have a separate thing? Like I can print out like a flyer or like nicer document on like foam board or something that has our vacancy with a QR code there. So it's not 3 QR codes stacked on one document. And it would be nice if we could have like this rack card be kind of present at every event. I tried to keep it not specific to this event tomorrow, but rather like any coffee talk, just as a, hey, like this is ours and fill this out. So like having a QR code to the website makes sense, and the post-event survey, because again, they're very, there's nothing specific about tomorrow's date or that this is the civic engagement group. So is it going to be too much if we have 3 QR codes on a single rack card, which is about this big and this wide? 9 inches tall, 4.5 inches wide, so like that.
I would just keep one code pertaining to whatever we're asking, rather than having like a bunch of QR codes.
Yeah, I guess like if we were to keep 2 and not 3, I would drop the website one currently out of the 3. But I do understand the want for continued use of
Mhm.
them.
So I think we could keep the QR
Just the
code for
one.
questions,
Yeah.
have like a phone board, like you said, advertising the vacancy, and we'll wait to add the website until we feel that's presentable enough to
Just-
want people on there.
Yeah, it just because I think with everyone's, from how it sounds with everyone's plans, there's just layers to it that'll be a bit more directing with like having the education side of it together, like the about us section presented a bit cleaner, or any other, I guess, like calendars and things. Yeah, it could just be a little cleaner because right now I think it's just our mission statement at the top of it and then the days that we meet, but not really
Very informative.
outside of information that we could already tell you. But I do think like having our email on there is really important, with what Carol added yesterday.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, since this is a small batch, let's stick to what everyone suggested. Sylvia summed up at the end, and then we can make modifications for the future and see if we want to make them more evergreen and print a bigger batch to have them standardized after this event.
And then we can always reuse that phone board too, if there's ever any other vacancies in the future, because in that sense that's separate.
That QR code will go to the application, and that's the same application that we run each time, so that phone board would remain relevant. It wouldn't be out of date, so. And I'm sure our sustainability team would appreciate reusing.
Is that application on the Town of Breck page or where is that application?
It should be under, there's a tab for vacant commission spots. I can direct everybody to it.
Oh, no.
This is planning commission so far.
Brooke, do you know where that one lives? If it's not under the vacancy?
It's also a spotlight, so you can find it that way.
So I'm on the Town of Breckenridge Social Equity Advisory Commission page.
So if you go to the main website.
It's the spotlight.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, thanks. But when I click on it, nothing happens, should it? If I click on, like if I want to send this to somebody, I want to send them the application.
I think if you hit
Read
read
more.
more, yeah,
Yeah.
read more on the bottom of that little square.
Oh, got it.
And then there's a link like please apply.
Did you get it, Lori?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm
Okay,
done.
okay.
Sorry.
If everyone's okay with that for civic engagement and our coffee talk tomorrow, we'll move on to our equity blueprint. And there have been some changes from the internal DEI committee. So some things are not there anymore and a few things are changed. So our first 2 goals, commitment to diversity and the commitment to inclusion, are now merged into the commitment to diversity and inclusion. That goal is gonna emphasize staff needs, improving accessibility, reforming internal documentation and policies. Am I read all of them? Or
I think we all
just like
read the
quickly, I'm
memo.
just gonna, yeah.
part, and then Matt, we can talk about it at a high level.
Yeah.
Any questions to what was changed, or you'd like to hear the reasoning why it changed from what the consultant provided us?
Really?
Okay, so the internal side now has 5 goals instead of the 6. Commitment to diversity and inclusivity, focusing on staff needs. Commitment to community is new. This one, again, it focuses on utilizing the relationships that all the town staff have in outside agencies. We felt that that was an important one because it's something that we're doing with making sure that partners that we're working with are sustainable. So we also wanted to bring in that tie too. The development of the DEI strategic plan. That one is going to focus on internal committees now, because we have direct control with that versus the other commissions, and we also don't really influence council. So we can't really force them to attend the same trainings, but offer it to everybody. Leadership commitment and training is bringing in all of the like having DEI pieces included into when leaders are reviewing their employees, helping them with that regards with promotion tracks, going through all staff to get trained in DEI trainings as well. We are pursuing I'm creating a proposal to pursue membership to GAR, which is Governing Alliances on Racial Equity. And with membership, you do get monthly trainings. So that's something that we would like to start incorporating on the internal side and then open it to the full commissions and internal committees. Recruitment and retention is making sure that we are diversifying where we apply and how we apply or get applicants. So that, and then we struck down the feedback goal and just made that standard operating procedure. So to their tactics, I don't know how much you want to go into depth there. Tactics and metrics, we incorporated almost all of the tactics that the consultant did give us. We just reworked them into the direction that we felt would be more comfortable for the town of Breck, and applicable to the direction that the town itself is going in. A couple kind of aesthetic things is metrics. I need to put spaces in between all those to match the tactic side. And they'll also do a progress report too as part of the community impact report. I did take all the progress reports off of this document right now. I just hit the documents, they still live, but a little easier to share them. And sorry, I should share the screen for the Zoom people. So this is still pending some more review with Dana, our head of HR, who's the higher up on our DEI committee. And if there's not a whole lot of edits that you would all like to see made, then we're going to present to council November 14th. And I know I got that wrong there, but and if council approves it, then we'll roll it out. In the meantime, Brooke and I are going to work on a plan for how we're going to market that the blueprint is out and what that campaign launch will look like, because we don't want to just like publish it on the website and it never gets notoriety, but rather make a big deal out of it. So if you have questions about it.
Can we talk about the blueprint from a high level? Who is the audience? I think we've talked about a couple different things. That one, it would be a communications tool for the community on what we're doing. Also, the fact that at different points, we talked about how this is a living document that will be regularly updated. So Matt, can you set the stage a little bit on that? And then I think we might all have some comments on edits to the blueprint.
Yeah, the blueprint serves to our stakeholders, and I define that as our community. So residents, people who live and work within Breckenridge, serves as kind of reinforcement for town staff. We want this to be part of culture moving forward. So this document helps reinforce that that is how we're moving forward and what changes into our culture we're hoping to make. So reference to staff, and then again, our stakeholders being residents, and then also beneficial to working with our community partners. We would like them to kind of see where we're moving and not force them to move with us, but it is beneficial that a lot of agencies within the county are already working on their own equity plans, and I think that we're more ahead than most. So it also serves as a kind of guide for our community partners as well for their starts.
I think in within the outreach plan and within the document itself, we need to keep that in mind, that this is not an internal document. So there's certain sections, like even at the top where it says internal, external, which although that's pretty straightforward, I think it would be worth expanding on that. Like internal means truly internal, that town staff makes up the committee. External community partners is led by the commission. So I think on page 4, where you have the focus areas, just adding a sentence or two to each to really explain that would be helpful. And then also maybe look back through the document. There's certain things where I think this was thanks to Joyce, who always points out, don't use acronyms without defining them. There's a couple places throughout that. I think the most obvious one is DEI committee members. So when you define what the internal people policy practice is, mention DEI, what it stands for. I think you just need to define it once. And also the fact that we are pushing this out. I know both internal and externally are goals. Like we haven't waited for this blueprint to move along with these. I think it's very important that the progress report that you're compiling goes out at the same time, especially with the communications push that you're doing. So the message isn't these efforts started 3 years ago and this document's just being finalized. So I think there's a very delicate way that more accurately captures what has happened. We've been working on all these and we've progressed in these ways. And now we're kind of publishing our blueprint, our roadmap. And yeah,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, I think this, like, in addition to the progress pages that are missing, like, it'll be a little bit more fleshed out too, kind of to see some of the things that we've done so far. So it's not like a document that's coming out that's completely blank.
Mhm.
So we can point to some of the sections in it with like our progress as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Did anyone else have thoughts either at a high level or specific things you notice?
I read through it, after days. The only thing that I didn't really see is like kind of like, I know this probably sounds bad, but like an enforcement, you know what I mean? Of like, hey, these are our tactics, these are our goals, but like, how are we going to enforce? Not enforce, but you know what I mean? But like, hold accountability for. So that's kind of the only thing, but.
That's a good point. And maybe somewhere in usually with the strategic plan blueprints, there's some sort of executive summary or summary. So if there is a place either when you define what the focus areas is, but to talk a little bit about that, like what are the systems of checks and balances and accountability that we're doing? I think that's a great point.
I think a little bit of that is like we have our tactics, this is how we plan to do things, and then our metrics is a little bit of that. I think it touches into how are we gonna measure this? How are we make sure that we're getting all these tactics completed? But a good, yeah, like even if it's a 1 or 2 sentence summary of
Yeah, pointing out
yeah,
the
pointing-
metrics.
Yeah.
And have we established anything? Are we doing an annual review of our metrics, or is that something both, I guess, for this committee and the internal committee we defined?
I'm sorry, I took a massive bite. Okay, I know for our internal DEI committee, we would like it to be kind of like a rolling basis as things kind of progress in the town. We'll always keep kind of checking back. For the commissioners, you know, if we want to do it as an annual review, because we will be writing an annual community impact report, if we want to review everything right before I start putting together that report, or if we want to review it at a different time, like halfway between the year moving forward. That way we can either use it as a checkpoint halfway through the year before the impact report or right before the impact report. But a lot of the accountability for what I had kind of assumed we would be doing would come out in that impact report. At least from like nonprofits I've worked in, that's been our, like, this is how we stay true to everything. And that's what that report serves to do, and not just as a brag of like, here's everything we did. But that's your, and then I'm guessing because it's like, we don't have a finalized impact report right now, so it is hard to visualize that, but how would this group like to see that? Would you like to do it right before the impact report gets written, or do you want to kind of touch base in your subcommittees as you're moving throughout the year, or what feels appropriate to your directions?
Well, first, in regards to this, I think that both what you mentioned should be mentioned in the intro, like this is our accountability, our annual check versus the internal rolling basis check. So that should be mentioned in. The second question is, what do we think as a commission? Do we think annually looking at all our metrics makes sense, or would we like to do it twice a year?
Maybe a quick check-in halfway and then a good thorough review at the end, just to make sure we're on track.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to go a whole year and then realize we didn't do
yeah.
something.
But I think that's accurate what we'll actually do. So the way to word it within this is there's a deep dive review, but then there's check-ins throughout the year.
We have a better record of it now using Max Scrum technique. So just like we have a list of everything that we're working on and things that we've done. So if we are to do something twice a year, we at least have like our sprints as well to like add to that list as far as the things that are in progress.
And would you like to see the scrums included in your subcommittee updates moving forward in the packet, or do you want those just to kind of remain within your subcommittee?
I wouldn't mind if the sprints were. I think the rest of the things that are like in backlog aren't necessary. But I think just knowing like the main focus of each subcommittee, because even if you're not in it, like it could be something you have like useful information towards, or potentially, or that might be the one time where you're like, hey, I'm gonna step in here and help out because that seems like something I can help out with. Because like it's also fluid, like we are in subcommittees, but if there's anything that you would need to be a part of another one for, it's I can't be there. So I think it'll just help us kind of keep track along with the written notes, which are amazing. Mac, it'll just be another little thing to potentially help each other with.
I'll just add, I think one of the things that's good about having as much information as you can about each subcommittee is that at some point, like if there's a money spend, the whole commission needs to agree that that's the direction you want to go. So, I think it's important to have some good information in the packet so the whole commission can make decisions when the time comes.
June or Joyce, did you have any feedback on the blueprint?
No, I think so far everything is looking really great. I think it's good. I really liking it.
I agree. I think it's just in the time that I've been with the commission, it has changed and really improved. Thanks for asking. I think it's great.
I did have one question to this group, and this was a focus for Jason for the subcommittee, which is this note right here. He felt it was really important to state that a lot of our metrics aren't necessarily tangible. And I didn't know if this is something that we want to leave as is, or I can put it in quotations and cite Jason Smith, since that's his written sentence.
I think that was a really important point, and if we have some sort of introduction, that should be rolled into it. But I think to what Jason's point, that not all of this is tangible, is worth pointing out. What do you think?
Is it this or these?
Yeah, it would be these.
Yeah, which I think is what Scott emailed me about. So,
But yeah, I would keep that general content, but roll it into the introduction that you'll write.
and then this went out in the packet before, or the packet went out before I added this slide, but I did throw here, and this is up to this commission if you would like to see this remain, but I did want to give credit to the commissioners that got us to this point, including the ones that are no longer serving. So if that's something that you feel you would like to see remain, or maybe a different way to include it, but
And it depends how this blueprint is being used. At one point you talked about making it living, so our images would be updated, but if this is something council is formally approving, at that point in time, it should reflect that. So I would almost include every single commissioner that has worked on it, including current one sitting.
Then you don't
Right.
have to update it later. Secure in the commission, your name's on this list. Thank you.
yeah, you've got your pictures. But yeah, I can include them in both
Yeah.
spots.
But does that make sense, Shannon? Is council taking formal action to approve this? So then it wouldn't necessarily be a fully living document?
So I'd like to have council take some formal action on it. I think
Uh-huh.
that would help give it some, sort of elevate it a bit. So, maybe there's something in the intro that demonstrates that, that it's not finished, like that the work is not finished and will continue to grow. But I don't know that we'd want to take it back to council every
Yeah,
year, but you
exactly.
might do your annual impact report with council every year.
Okay.
So would that be okay? Or do you think that if the goals are going to change over time, we could either bring it back to council when there is a change in goal, or we could not have them formally adopt it?
Whatever you think logistically makes sense. I think the weight of some sort of formal action initially makes sense, but as to an ongoing process, what's needed, I think I defer to you, and
Okay.
also like how to word this that makes the most sense.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.
Yeah.
And then one other comment, just add page numbers to the table of contents.
Oh, yeah. Yep. 2525.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Any other thoughts on the blueprint or how it should be rolled out or anything surrounding it?
I do have one more question to this group, which is something that Breckenridge and I were discussing. So do you like that there's pictures in this blueprint, or do you feel like there should be only a couple and then leave it without pictures. And this came up in regards to wanting to make sure that when we include these pictures that it's not trying to be inauthentic. We do have town pictures and then town staff pictures, and I did update this one picture. Sorry, Jay, and Carol, you're all there. It changed that image right after our phone call where you told me about a former commissioner. But do you feel like that should the only pictures be your headshots and a couple town pictures, or, do you feel like the pictures add to this document or subtract from the content?
I love the pictures. Otherwise, I think it's just such a sterile document. I think this gives it meaning to what we're doing. And I was just checking through to make sure. I mean, there's all season pictures. They're all people pictures. The first one, I was like, oh, well, the buildings are great. I mean, I just think it's good. Like, I think there's diversity represented. It's authentic to me.
Breckenridge did send us a couple of pictures from their Dia La Mortas festival that we can include for immigration rights and advocacy, but I didn't want us to kind of breach that like tokenism. But they are community members represented in the pictures. I just want to make sure I'm not being offensive in any of the pictures.
Not to me, but I'd like to hear from the rest of the group.
I like the pictures. I like the selection of pictures. I think it makes our document much more captivating.
I agree. After I have a old one on here too, and it was way less visually appealing. This was from October of last year. I like the picture. I think the layout is a lot nicer, a lot more visually appealing, especially if it's something that we're outputting to the public, and that's not just going to live internally where it could just be text.
I've seen some full text, and I've seen some with pictures, and I've seen some with infographics. And also, if you don't like your headshot, send me an email. We can redo it. And I changed all your backgrounds because once you were all lined up with the barnwood behind you, it looked a little too much like a yearbook, or like a yearbook taken at Sears. So. Yeah, exactly. So we changed that. AI is a pretty cool tool. You now all have really blurry mountains behind you.
Pretty consistent where I'm on Ellie in all these pictures. I like it.
So
I love the pictures. I like the visual of it. Like, it is nice to look at. If we could add some of those pictures you were mentioning, I feel like our Hispanic community is not really represented within the pictures in here. So if we can add one or two in there to do that better, I think that would be awesome.
Any other comments on the blueprint?
I think it's really changed. And when I look at the I'm sorry, Sustainability Committee, I print everything out. When you look at them side by side, I feel it's really come a long way. And I think that it is, it's now much more engaging and focused and comprehensible. What we do. I think it's great. Thank you.
Okay. That's about all I've got for the blueprint. Shannon, I'll hand it over to you for upcoming council.
Great. So we've actually changed a couple of things since we put this together. But one of the most important items, and I know I brought it up the last time, is we'll have route policy at the council meeting on October 24th. They will be presenting the most recent housing needs assessment. And so if you have the ability or opportunity to attend, that would be wonderful. The meeting will also be on Zoom. So you could watch it remotely and it will be taped. So if you didn't have time and wanted to see it later, you could. But I think that that's obviously important, as housing is important to our community. We were hoping to present the equity blueprint on the 24th, but we're going to push that back. 'Cause obviously it needs some changes. We want Dana to have some time with it on the internal organizational goals, which maybe is a better way to frame that, as organizational as opposed to internal. So we'll push that back a little bit. And then if you're interested on the housing piece again, our housing folks, planning and community development are going to present a first swipe at what housing on Block 11 may look like. And it is pretty cool. We've seen not drawings of the actual buildings, but a schematic layout of what the parcel might look like, and hoping to have somewhere around 100 units out there. So that will be interesting to see that presentation and then to hear the council feedback on that. If you're interested in BGV, we'll be talking about BGV again. And then I think that's about it for the things I've highlighted that I thought you all might be interested in, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them. And Carol, I don't know if you had anything else that you thought might be interesting to the group.
No, I think you hit them all, and maybe even because I'm sure the housing needs assessment, I haven't finished reading it, but will there be a memo summarizing some of the key points at the beginning?
And there
Or
will be.
can we maybe pull that out and
Yeah.
send it to this group? So that's
I can do that and send
highlighted.
a calendar invite as well for all of you if you'd like to hop on.
I'm excited to see Block 11.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. Thank you for getting that out to us.
I'm sure you're all super interested in the budget because everyone is always interested in the budget. But we did add a resolution to adopt the budget to the 24th, and then we'll actually do an ordinance in November to appropriate the funds for the budget for 2024. But if there's any part of the budget that you're interested in, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions.
It looked like our request was a drop in the bucket.
Yes, there was no questions about the request for this commission, so you guys are good to go.
Okay, and then upcoming, we're inviting PD to come to our November meeting and just provide a statement about, or provide some insight rather, to overnight parking in the town of Breckenridge. This is related to our unsheltered summit that keeps popping up. So we'd like to have PD kind of weigh in on that. And then in December, Danny York is going to present where the town is at with our ADA. We just went through a massive audit through the whole town. So both within town hall and our facilities, and then within the town itself. So that audit isn't finalized yet, but Danny is going to just come and provide everybody an update with where we're at and what kind of next year's looking like for that. So she'll come in December. And I'll send out a memo about what she's going to talk about. So if you do have any specific questions you'd like to come to our December meeting with, I'll give you ample notice for that. And yeah, that's all I've got for staff coming. Any other matters?
Shannon, when the PD comes, is Jim still looking for police advisory committee members, or Do you think he has any asks of this group? And if he wants, he can.
I don't, have you guys been involved in that posting? Do you know when it closes?
I know they have their open house,
Yeah,
but I really, we didn't put out like a formal application. I wanted to start with that.
okay. Let me ask him that.
And if
It'll-
he wants anything else from this committee, if they're gonna be here, might as well use that time.
Yep,
And I guess same way, if anyone has questions or topics of interest, we could maybe.
We could definitely expand
that
it,
out.
because I think the unsheltered is a fairly short conversation about an update, but if it's a great opportunity for you all to be able to speak with law enforcement and ask them questions. I think sometimes there are questions and people don't feel comfortable, and I hope that you will, if you have questions to ask, that you'd feel comfortable asking them, or if you wanted to provide them ahead of time, we could handle it that way as well. But our folks are pretty open, and so we want you to feel comfortable with them.
Okay, so maybe ahead of that meeting, Mac, remind us all to see if we have any questions. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'll have them just kind of talk to you a little bit about their advisory committee as well, so that you know what it is, and maybe you know people that would be interested in being on there.
Mac, I feel like I'm forgetting something. You know that now.
Our meeting was poor Jay, he had the community influence and outreach, no, celebrate diversity's second meeting of the month. Into June and Jay having a meeting, into Jay staying on the call to go through facilitating this meeting. So you had a lot thrown at you, if you forgot.
Be to like 10 o'clock.
It's a big morning.
Great way to start your day.
It's free.
Let's see. Talked about public comment being 3 minutes a person.
Yep.
If there's anyone available for public comment today, which it doesn't appear so.
No.
We moved through this kind of quick today.
We did. This is a record for this commission. Clearly.
Can I end on time today? What is this?
8:40.
I guess personally, I just want to thank Joyce and for your time and being on commissions and everything still. It's awesome. Oh yeah, I still have to write a letter because the end of my term is in December. But I was on a 3-year term to start. So
We
there'll
started
be
with staggered terms.
Yeah.
There's some 2 years, some 3 years.
So just I don't know if that's changes how
I think we moved back to 3. That was last December because Taj was on a 2-year term. And she, if I'm remembering our spreadsheet correctly, she was the last one on that 2-year staggering. So we moved it to 3. So you're all on 3 right now.
So I think, Jason was on 3, I think
Mhm.
December as well.
Same with Joyce. Started in December 2020 to 23. And
Do you know what bar I am in my?
I can tell you.
I think it's about a year. I don't think it's.
I can't remember.
I think April is gonna be 2 years, because I think you and I started.
Oh, really?
Like the same
Already
month or
2
something
years?
like that.
To make it easy, I actually put all of your terms on the website.
Oh,
The other commissions include terms,
Oh,
so
yeah.
figured trying to be more consistent. So Lori, February 2025. Sylvia, February 2025.
Fast.
Yeah.
They like from 3 years ago when the equity blueprint was a big just set of notes on a to this has been really cool to see. I know we always talked about how much time it would take, but it feels like we could still spend several more years on it to get it like the way that everybody wants it specifically.
Oh, and that is one more change to the blueprint that I'm now remembering. In the blueprint itself, anytime it says social equity, I included racial and social equity throughout the whole document to match our statement. That was something that was consistent through all of the equity blueprints from the GAR members that I was reading, all their stuff. If they had two different focuses in their mission, it was consistent. So yeah, anytime we were talking about in tactics where it says to progress social equity, it now says racial and social equity. And if you don't like that change, I can change it back. But wanted to echo our mission because that's the one thing I did not want to touch.
I like the changes. I think if we're all set,
Yeah.
And there are no other matters and there's no public comment, then I'd like to make a motion to end today's meeting. Yeah, I got a second. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming today.
Thank you.
Seeing all your faces.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
Joy.
you, guys. Bye, guys. It's great hearing you. Bye.